Welcome, welcome, everyone. As I said, in a moment, we're all going to hop on gallery view and have what I expect will be a weird and wonderful, interesting conversation. Today's topic is share your weird and wonderful. I don't think that's how we described it. I think of it as weird and wonderful hypnosis stories.
Okay, can you hear me okay? Just shake your head like this. All right, cool. All right, so HypnoConnect is a monthly interactive meeting where we discuss the uses and benefits of hypnosis, the misconceptions and fears of hypnosis techniques, and much more. You can join us each first Wednesday of the month as we feature hypnosis practitioners who share their expertise. Our mission here at HEA is to offer knowledge and education of the nature, uses, and benefits of hypnosis to professional hypnotists and to the general public, to reduce misconceptions and fears about hypnosis, and to establish and promote a hypnosis code of ethics. We host an annual conference featuring experts in hypnosis. Our educational events provide professional hypnotists with continuing education units. Our public outreach committee submits monthly associated press releases about the positive uses and benefits of hypnosis, and monthly meetings like this one. Now, our members are adults with an interest in hypnosis, experienced and novice professionals, and retirees in the field of hypnosis. We welcome members from all over the world. In fact, we are kicking around the idea of opening up a different time slot for this, an additional one, so that folks in the UK and around the world can join in without having to peel their eyes open. Because our presenters share things they find are working for them in their hypnosis practice. Many offer special certifications or licensing to use copyrighted protocols, so be sure to ask before adopting. But today, we're doing something cool, and we can take that off there now.
We sure can.
Talk to them.
Awesome. Let's pop back on video here.
Today, we are doing something cool, and I hope you guys have come with some cool stories. But we're going to share some, some weird or wild or super cool, however you want to describe them, session stories. And, of course, keep things anonymous. But, these can be fun. They can be interesting, entertaining, and, informative. Just kind of just have a little fun with this, right?
Yeah, that was the plan for tonight. We wanted to hear from you. We wanted to make it more this time that it would be more people's voices, and that we would be in gallery view. So those of you who aren't on camera, if you would come on camera, that'd be great. If not, it's fine. You can sit and watch. And if you've got a story to share, just raise your hand. And this is the format is meant to be, and Don, your autopilot keeps trying to get into the waiting room. Is Don here? He was. There he is. Hey, Don. All right. Awesome. Hello. Hello, Age. Where are you coming from?
Australia.
I thought so. Wonderful. Yeah, right. So it'd be tomorrow there. That's just amazing, guys. Time travel all the time. It's wild and weird.
We really appreciate you showing up there. Definitely.
We really do. Awesome. So today, no, I don't know if I actually introduced myself. I'm Melanie McCool. I'm the president of the Hypnosis Education Association. This is our VP, Sean Bray. And we are just honored that you're here today. And so I'd love for you to do is, before you would share a weird or wonderful experience that you've had, or just something that you are wowed about, because I feel like we almost are every time we get to do a session, is there's something just like, wow, this magical toolbox we wield, right? If you would, please introduce yourselves, not just to me, but to the others who are here, so we can learn a little bit more about you and, what you do, what your specialty may be. And so if whoever would like to go first, you can just hop on in and go.
Laura's arm keeps disappearing.
Yes, it's going into the grass.
Okay, it looks like Rich is gonna.
I'll share, Melanie.
Oh, awesome, Laura, you got it. Cool. Let's do it. Excellent.
So I'm Laura Ordeal. It looks like Ordeal, but it's pronounced Ordeal. So I'm married into the name I've lived up to all my life. I love that. And I'm a hypnotist, and
Does anybody else see Laura now, or she disappeared for everyone?
Coming and going.
Okay. Hopefully she could stay. There you are.
There I am.
Okay.
It doesn't say anything, but hopefully it'll hold. It'll. So, as you can tell, I'm in Montana and I do all of my work online. I love doing it online and it served me well. I work with people all over the world, so it's super fun. I have leaned into specializing in PTSD, CPTSD, trauma work, eliminating all the symptoms that are there. And
Super important.
it amazes me every time I get to work with someone that it's not about going in for me and clearing one thing for them and resetting one thing. I actually had a client not long ago who I worked with who had 17 different symptoms, and they were pretty big symptoms: panic attacks, anxiety, which are close related, obviously, but insomnia, IBS, hypervigilance, all the kind of things, the laundry list of things that do that. And I was able to work with her through about, I think it was the 6th week. And she came out after that 6th week, and we talked not long after that. And I had told her at some point, you're going to come out and it's like a switch has been flipped and those things will be gone. And she said, you're right. You are so right. It's gone. Everything's gone. And I've stayed in touch with her and it stayed gone. And I'm super excited to be able to do things like that. And you do come into that wow factor of, it worked. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, right. Right. And how long have you been a hypnotist, Laura?
I've only been a hypnotist about 5 years. I've been doing
Yeah.
it about 5 years, and I leaned into specializing with the PTSD, CPTSD stuff maybe a little over a year ago, and started working in that. And the work that I do seems to work with so many different things. I actually have a fun little story it's my mentor story, one of the persons that I worked with, but
Okay.
she worked with someone, and this is just the power of even in the physical, what we do can change. And she was working with a gentleman who stuttered all of his life. He stuttered, and he said, if you can help me even just ease it out or kind of do something, make it a little bit better, that would be wonderful. And so she was doing some of the sessions with him, and at one point she took him back to wherever the situation started, go back. And we know our subconscious knows everything, and the body knows, the mind knows. So she led him back, and he happened to be someone who remembered the outcome or the thing that he experienced during hypnosis. And so he went back, and he came back and he says, oh my goodness, I don't even remember this happening, but when I was barely toddling and walking around, we were having a big birthday party, and he was so excited, and he went running into the kitchen, and he slipped. He was going for one of his toy, but he slipped and fell. And so he reached up and grabbed onto the tablecloth. When he did that,
Oh
he
no.
pulled down all like the birthday cake, and
Yeah.
so of course mom is like, oh no, and oh my goodness. And he's trying to, he didn't have the words, but he was trying to tell her, I'm sorry, I just tripped, and it was an accident. And so he's telling my mentor this, and it took them both about 10 minutes into the conversation, and they realized he had stopped stuttering completely. It was gone.
Yay. Oh, beautiful. Thank you
Yeah.
for that.
That's cool.
And the reason why I asked you how long you've been at it is because I remember when I first got started, and I'll ask Rich and Kath if it still feels this way sometimes. It's like, okay, we have this toolbox, and you go into it trusting that it's going to get the result because you were told by your mentors it was going to get this result, right? But sometimes the methods that we use are weird and wonderful, like things like turning the experience that you have a phobia about, for example, like turning them into cartoon characters, or like it's like how the heck does that work? But it does. Like just last week, I got a review. Lady came in with a phobia, and I said, text me after you make that drive, and she did. She said, it's a miracle. I was crying. No panic attacks when I made that drive. And how did I do that? Did I do that with I don't know. It was painless. It was really fast because it's called fast phobia cure, right? and and she's delighted. But if you were to tell if somebody were to ask you, well, how are you going to help me do this? If I were to explain it to them,
Right.
they'd be like, I'm going to pay you for
Yeah,
that. Why would you
what?
do that? So I still always feel like I come with beginners, like I'm expecting, and then I'm still just like, wow, thank
I
goodness
know.
it worked. So
Yeah,
Rich,
that
Rich
wow
and
just
Kath,
doesn't go away.
yeah. So and Rich and Kath are here from Daytona, and they are. You've been at this for
Quite a
a
while.
long
That's 3
time.
months.
I'm bringing you onto the screen.
All right.
Hey, so I guess the question is, do you still have that kind of that oh my goodness wow feeling when you're doing it? Just the same it's the same. It just continues.
Yes. I don't know how many times you'll work with somebody and you'll go through the things that you believe will be helpful. But you leave with a feeling that will it be or won't it be?
Right.
And it turns out, yeah, it worked.
Yeah. Look.
Yeah. In fact, one of my stories, I got a couple, but one of the stories that I was thinking of was I was in my office one day and this gentleman comes in and I looked at my schedule and I had a woman scheduled for this hour. So I said, can I help you? And he said, yeah, my wife is coming in just a few minutes. She's out in the car, but I wanted to talk to you. She's coming in for weight. She wants to lose weight. But her problem is, as he saw it, she's smoking 3 packs of cigarettes a day. She's
Yeah.
never going to get healthy doing that. But he said, is there any way that you could work with her on the smoking without really saying you're working with her on smoking?
Wow.
She's very resistant to that. So I said, well, sure, send them in. So I thought, okay, how will I do this? And what I did was a lot of weight talk with indirect suggestions that referenced smoke.
Wow.
You know, when you lose the weight, it's just like smoke clearing from in front of you. You can see your way forward, and that smoke is just gone. No need for the smoke, really, is there? And blah, 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 blah,
That's so awesome.
And so anyway, she went, and that was the appointment. And before the next appointment, her husband came back in. He said, thanks. He said, thanks. Now you can work with her on the weight.
You know,
It
and
was cool.
that just speaks volumes because people get all in their heads about what's the best way. They're afraid they can't stop somebody from smoking. People do, especially smoking. This is one of the things, like for whatever reason. And you didn't even it wasn't even direct, and a 3-pack a day smoker done.
Right. I hope this lands on the ears of a lot of the newer hypnotists that I talk to on a daily basis. Because if they hear stories like this, I think it lets them feel a little bit more relaxed about, whether they need a script or not.
Right. It's
just
trusting themselves.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science approach, and you can do pretty well.
Yeah. So act like Sean and I don't know who you are, and tell everybody who you are and what your specialties are, please. Thanks.
Right. Well, we're Rick and Kath Smith. We started hypnosis in 1986 with the National Guild at that time. Their trainer was a fellow named Steve Lavelle, and he and his wife Jill Lavelle, who was active in IAC over the years. They taught a very basic, like a weekend course. And I went and took it just because it was something I'd always wanted to do. I was working, but I wanted to do this. So I went and took the course, and when I got home, Cass said, how was the course? I said, it was fine. And she said, well, good, because I've booked you on a television show in Syracuse, and you're going to be on with a psychologist, and the two of you are going to be discussing hypnosis.
Oh my goodness.
And of course, my first thing was,
I know.
you do that to me.
That sounds like something I would have done to Melanie. Like, I already got your book, babe.
That's crazy.
So at any rate, and she says, and I'll go with you. I said, well, you can't go. You haven't had any training. And just relax. So we went, and I presented, we answered the questions that she asked, and we talked with the psychologist, and, we were all on the same page. But before the session, the woman who was doing the TV show had a headache.
Mhm.
I said, well, if you like, I'll just give you some relaxation before this thing, and maybe that'll help your headache. So I did, and we had the thing, and it went very well. The show went well. It was like an hour and a half. It was a real long interview show, and after it was over, I'll say 3 or 4 months. No, it'll be longer than that, because we started eventually training.
Mhm.
And she was in the first class of people that I trained.
Oh, awesome.
Because of that experience, she was so positive about hypnosis.
Beautiful. And the two of you have, I believe we connected specifically because the two of you have done a lot of work at CATS. You have a medical background, is that right? And you've been working with medical hypnosis training or educating the medical establishment.
At a military hospital in Tabor, New York. And he was an air traffic controller there. So we would go around and give talks there. We gave talks to the medical professions in Utica, and we did that kind of thing. We did work with someone, and that was a new mother, and she was having postpartum depression. So we and the person she went to, we worked back and forth. She'd come to us and we'd say, okay, this is what, we called the office, and he'd say, okay, well, I'm doing this, this, and this. And we kind of worked it that way.
She was a psychiatrist, I believe.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's that way. The only medical thing really is I had a client come in who was going to have ear surgery. So he came in and we talked, and I gave him the hand or glove anesthesia. So I went through, did a session, gave him that, and then he came back for 3 sessions and we practiced it. So the day of the surgery, I get a call that night, and he says, I'm completely lost. I don't know what to do now. And I says, well, what happened? And he told me, he says, well, I got it numbed just fine, but I can't remember how to unnumb it now. So then first, in case there's an operator on here, I need to tell them what's going on. Here's what you do. And then I walked him through and said, oh, good. Now the numbness is gone. I'm fine. Thank you.
Turn the numbers off.
Right.
So he called him. But
What?
as far as did it work? Well, yeah.
Yeah, we're
Well,
so awesome.
yeah.
Beautiful.
But yeah, we did give talks. We'd give in services at the various hospitals around the area. Our connection was, the first one was Kath worked there.
Mhm.
And then after we'd done one there and that went well and they seemed interested, we just went to the other hospitals and said, this is what we do. We give a talk on hypnosis. And they said, well, we really don't know anything about that. So yeah, that'd be interesting. And it's very easy to just call them up and say, hey, would you like us to give you a talk? And
I love that. I hope maybe that encourages some people, because I have the additional certification, medical and dental hypnotherapy, right?
Mhm.
And so that gives me the ability to work with referring physicians, medical, but if I was out there talking in the hospitals local, I bet you I get a whole lot more of those referrals.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, it'd be pretty obvious, right?
We got clients from those talks.
I'll bet. And it's some of the best clients that you get because, you know, they trust if their doctor's going to send them for this, they already have more than a shred of doubt that whatever they're dealing with can be helped by you. So
One of the techniques that I used, I think we did this in Puerto Rico, is I wrote a letter to physicians.
Uh-huh.
And I had some documentation that shows that the strongest, the most powerful tool to get people to stop smoking, number one, is a physician. If their physician tells them they need to, that really works very well.
Mm-hmm.
So what I put in my letter to them was, I'd like to be able to refer people to you. And also I would enjoy it if you would, you know, advise people to see me for their smoking. And then with the background that I had where it showed, you know, the tests and the studies and all the things that have been done,
Yeah.
to show that a very effective method. I got clients from that. So.
Excellent. Love this. This
The
is great.
that I can think of that we
Yeah.
had
Let's hear it.
was we did some clients when we lived in New York in our trailer. So he was working as an air traffic controller, but I may be doing clients. So this one time he was home, I had a client coming. So I said to him, watch Peppy. He was our little Chihuahua. We only had one at the time. He said, oh, that's fine. I'll do that. I says, and I'll leave the door cracked so you can kind of hear if you need something. So I was going into the session and everything, and she had relaxed. We did the deepening, and Peppy walks in, hops up on her lap, and starts licking her nose. So, but as you may feel like there's something licking your nose, it's okay. It's just a teeny puppy with a teeny tongue. And I came to the door and I go,
Right. That's great. And it didn't disturb the session at all.
Cool
It's fine.
visual too.
No.
I can see it.
That's so
After the session,
Right.
She was aware of it. I guess not. She just
That's awesome.
put it into the session, you know. You made this sensation like a dog licking your nose.
Yeah.
It is.
I use the traffic outside my office. I'll turn it into like ocean waves rising and falling. Like you gotta use what you got. Or if those sirens are going, it's anything outside of my voice helps you to relax. All that stuff. But I never had a dog or even my cat to jump up on anybody and just get them. So that's a winner. I think that's a winner. That's the weird and wonderful. All right, we did
one too.
Oh, we got another one.
He was working, but we had Peppy and we had a little girl then, Chi-Chi. And he was at work. I had a client, and the two dogs went right into it.
Oh, yeah.
One was on one side of me and one was on the other side of me.
Oh, no.
And I accidentally
Oh, no.
So then when he came home, he says, well, how did it go? He says, and he looked at me and said, well, it must have gone pretty good. All three of you look like you're still in trance.
Oh, no.
I think some animals can kind of pick up the rhythm of it, you know, and
Yeah. I bet you Julie would say that. She's got a bunch of cats. Age, Age, do you have something to add?
Yeah,
Awesome.
I had a client who we started working, and then it was a tin roof, and roofers came to change the roof, and there were tech screws, and they go as loud as you can be. And I said, "You listen to the sound of my voice, and only the sound of my voice." He went into trance, and I couldn't hear myself speak at times.
Wow.
But I suggested that he'd only hear the sound of my voice, and so he got out of it. And I said, "Oh, did the noise of the roofers bug you? Huh? What?"
Right. Never
Wasn't
heard.
listening. Just tuned it out completely.
Yeah. As anything outside of my voice just helps you to actually hear me more. That's powerful.
Well, I say things like sometimes depending if it's appropriate in utilization, a fire engine goes past, and as the alarm fades into the distance, you can relax your body, or if it's something like roofing noise, you'll just ignore it completely, whatever the case may be, and however it seems best at the time to utilize it.
That's wonderful. And I mean, these are also some of the things that people are concerned about, right? When they're working, whether if they're working at home, there's different things that might happen. Working in an office on a busy main street, which is my office in Main Street, USA, literally.
Right.
So I would, and you know, people might be concerned, but that's beautiful to hear how you would play those. So do you have a weird and wonderful hypnosis story? But first of all, you're obviously in Australia. Tell us a little
Yep.
bit about you, your practice, what your specialty is, or why you do this. Just introduce yourself a bit so we know who you are.
Okay. My name's Adrian Penoso. I have a clinic. It's called fairymeadowhypnotherapy.com.au. And I've been a hypnotherapist in that office since mid-COVID. I became a hypnotherapist before that because I did some training with a guy called Christopher Howard. And during the training, I sort of, at the end of the training, he gave us a little bit of Ericksonian in the last couple of hours because that's all he could fit in. And I found myself putting this guy into trance. I'm like, I can do this. And it turned out these weird and wonderful synchronicities. It turned out the very first hypnotherapist that I ever saw from a different state, Australia's got nearly 30 million people, was his sister-in-law. And I'm like, oh, this is really strange. And I decided to become a hypnotherapist and helping people. Cool story. I had a lady who walked into the office up the stairs and she had arthritis. And I basically just talked to the arthritis and she's walked in hobbling. And the receptionist of the office that I was at the time said, what did you do to her? Because she walked out fine. And it's just one of those weird things. What did I do? I just spoke to it saying, it can go away, it can go away. And she walked out fine.
So you ignited the inner healer and it just took over. I love that. I love it. Yeah. And
Way simpler than people make it out to be. You know, I mean, like, like I made it out when I was initially introduced. I was like, oh, this has got to be complicated. I got to know what it is. I got to know the science behind it. And blah, 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 blah. I don't think that way.
No. Yeah. Yeah. I find it. I do it. Trust. I would because. Oh, and what I did essentially when I started, because I had a downtown office and Google kept sending me clients for all kinds of things. And I was like, I have no idea. And so what I would do is just Google hypnosis for, they're on the phone. They're like, can you help me for, and I'm like, and I would Google hypnosis for that. If I found results that were positive, I would say, great, yes, I can help you. And I would book them in. And then I would do whatever, learning I had to do between that and their session so that I could help them. And again, this is the, you've got to be more confident than them, right? So I would step into that and go, okay, somebody else said this worked. I'm going to do it. I'm going to assume it worked. And it did. And it just blew me away each and every time. Like my weird and wonderful story, unless you've got another one, it's Ajay. Is that Ajay?
Yeah, well, it's Nick. It's obviously saved that as of a Zoom with my kids. It's Adrian.
Adrian. Oh, okay.
I had a client yesterday, and it was a needle phobia. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this guy. And I thought, I'll run a fast phobia, and I didn't have time to go through that fast phobia process. So I'm like, what am I going to do here? I've already told him I can help him because I'm sure, same as you, I'm sure I can help him. And so I basically just took him into hypnosis. I actually started with breath work, calmed him down, and then went into a story about change. And then I brought him back up, and then I spoke to him about the first time he was post-hypnotic suggestion, you'll feel wonderful, whatever. And then we're only like 20 minutes in, and then I spoke to him about what happened when he was 8 years of age in terms of the needle. And I just kind of just spoke to him, his name was Jordan. What does little Jordan need to know? What does big Jordan need to tell little Jordan about this? And he's like, it doesn't really hurt that much, and the pain goes away. And it was all this traumatic event when he was 8 years old. And I just flew blind and just spoke to what little Jordan need to hear from big Jordan and so forth, and got him to go back to that incident. And then, got him to future pace it, 6 months into the future, and your mother needs a blood transfusion and you have to do this. How does it feel? And go, oh, well, I've got to do it. Oh, that wasn't so bad. And then when it wasn't so bad 6 months in the future, then we brought it back today's day. And then, okay, and then all the things that little Jordan had to learn from the experience when he was 8 years old, that he could now learn that he was an adult.
Right.
And then he got away, did all the things, and then he's walked away. I've got 4 sessions with him, and that was the first session. And he's already like, oh, his head's spinning because it's not such a big deal anymore.
Right on. Well, guess what?
There are other stuff we can work with
There's
you.
other stuff you get to do. How awesome is that? Yeah, awesome. I actually just had a client that was like that because she came from a car accident. She was having major panic attacks and PTSD. By the time the first session was over, she comes back for her next sessions and she doesn't have panic attacks anymore. What are we going to do? Well, we figured it out. She figured out what she would do. We worked with a lot of things, but that's how quick. And so if anybody's watching the recording and you're listening and going, really, these things, it can happen really fast. Yes, that is why we're hypnotists. This is why we do what we do, because it can be faster and easier than you think possible.
Faster and easier. Also, if you're paying attention, that each one of the hypnotists that have been talking have tucked in something else that, like breath work or, some type of relaxation technique or something, you know what I mean?
And many of us use many different.
I was going to say, it's not just one way in and one way out.
Right.
It's, there's various ways. And Melanie, like, I think one of the things that I've seen her do is kind of listen and speak the same language, so like when you guys are doing this, you must have sensed that, that breath work would, might not be unfamiliar to that person, and that, they might know that it helps calm them down. And, so anyways,
well, actually,
other ways.
It was unfamiliar to him, but notwithstanding that, it is calming. Physiologically, it's calming.
Absolutely.
So even if you're not familiar with it, it's kind of like, okay, as you said, there's many ways in, and we're achieving an altered state here ultimately, where they can look into themselves and find, ideally the same answers. I've been talking to a lot of people, so you don't need scripts and you don't need scripts, and I'm not ready to go to that non-script part, but my scripts aren't really the be all and end all, right? The script is really just an icebreaker, where breath work, I've been using breath work to get them into that relaxed state, and then a hypnotic script will be an icebreaker type thing, and then the real work, the change work, is in the things that we discuss.
The discovery
and
the conversational stuff.
And then bringing them in and out of trance.
Yes, it's fractionation in the session. And even just considering what they think of as a major fear while they're relaxed. I mean, you get the vagus nerve reacting to the whole scenario really differently. Their body is different around whatever they were fearing. So all of that together, I think is just some of the beautiful things that we get to do. And then you can anchor that calm for them, that, next time you're there, just take yourself right back to where you are right now before you open your eyes. Take yourself to this level of calm, relaxation. Next time you got to go and get blood drawn or whatever, and you can do that. You're learning how to do that right now. So boom. Yeah, it's awesome.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm curious now after hearing about the different animal stories, and you say that Julie has a bunch of cats.
Yes.
I'm curious if those cats have ever come into play for you, Julie.
Julie is new to hypnosis. You're welcome to chat with us. So of course, I'd like to join the conversation. I'm going to pin you.
I'm new to doing Zoom on my iPhone because when this all began, I was driving home. So I signed on my iPhone, so I'm still here on my iPhone. So it took me a second to find the unmute. Actually, I haven't taken anybody into hypnosis yet, except for a couple practice sessions after my 3-day class. So I don't have stories like you all to tell you about taking people into hypnosis. But I do have a wonderful story about when I was I'm from New York State. I'm now in Florida, but after massage school, I was living massage schools in Florida, and I'm back here. So after massage school, I went back to New York and I got licensed there. And I would drive from the Hudson Valley region out to Ithaca to do counseling with a woman who now I realize was basically doing hypnosis with me or guided meditation, but I got into very hypnotic states and very relaxed and trance states. And they were 2-hour therapy sessions. The first hour was the relaxation trance work, and then the second hour was talk and discussion. It's my favorite all-time relaxation trance that I did with her. And I get very frustrated in guided meditations because I'm not a visual person. And so I was in this state. She got me relaxed through placing her hands on me and walking up the chakras and discussing. I can't remember what she would be saying, but I got super relaxed. And then I go to my special place, sort of like we did today, Melanie. And I could do that. I could kind of visualize that. We had created that in an earlier session. But then I forget what question she was asking me, and I was frustrated and I said, I can't see anything. I can't see anything. All I notice is this huge weight on my abdomen. And as soon as I started talking about what I noticed in my body, then all of a sudden I was in this, what felt like, I didn't know then because I hadn't learned anything about shamanic journeying, but it felt like I was going into the underworld. There was this cannonball on my belly, and in the Wile E. Coyote, when the cannonball hits his belly and he's like flying through space backwards, and his arms are kind of wrapped around it and his legs are wrapped around the cannonball. That's what I felt like. I was going through dark, dark, dark space, nothing, no light, nothing around me. And I was spinning, spinning, spinning. And then all of a sudden I stopped, and it was like bright light, sunlight, blue sky, sand as far as you could see. And that sensation is like the movie Contact, where Jodie Foster ends up on the beach and her dad comes, right? And it was that same kind of, when I saw Contact, I'm like, oh my God, that's what I did.
Wow.
And then way in the distance, something is walking towards me, and it's very, very tiny, like an ant. And then it gets closer and closer, and it's an ostrich, and it's this huge, tall ostrich, and it stands tall in front of me, and it looks left and right in its eyes. And then we did like so now I consider ostrich my one of my totem animals.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
and very powerful animal for me. And
Yeah.
recently in the last year, I decided I need to learn more about the ostrich.
A
So
purple
I
ostrich
just,
egg?
are you saying something?
Is it a purple ostrich egg?
Oh, yes. I thought about that today. My volume on this thing is really messed up. I don't know why I can't hear you all very well. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we
Yes,
can hear
we
you
can hear you
fine,
great.
Julie. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I liken it to a hypnotic trance state, but it didn't like remedy a brain pattern that I have from childhood or anything. But so in
Yeah,
that sense, it didn't reprogram me, that experience.
I appreciate that, because when people ask me what the difference between like meditation, guided meditation, it's hypnosis is like meditation with a goal.
Yeah.
Right.
And it is that would be the differentiator, is that there's, and I'm sure we all use a bit of guided imagery. We link it all together, but hypnosis is like meditation with a goal. And that would be the reason to seek hypnotherapy, because you are interested in changing, rewiring here. And I would say you have an extraordinary imagination. So that part of the story, you could just recognize there might have been just some resistance or certain things, or if somebody else is telling you what to see, it might not work so great, but you had no problem seeing what you need to see when you're in there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
Yes.
so thank you for sharing.
That's-
Sincerely.
You're wel-
Thank you, Julie. Awesome.
You're welcome. Thank you for listening.
Right, yeah, cool. So I've got a couple, I've been going, oh gosh, which of these stories I'm gonna tell? Because I've got some really goofy ones. And I thought I'd start with one that I'm still just myself personally blown away by, because I had a young man who had been experiencing hives all over his body for years, and his parents had been paying like $3,000 a month for this type of drug, and it wasn't and it had some negative side effects that they were concerned about, so they didn't want their son to have to take this, so they'd taken him off of it, and it was better than it was before. He would get hives everywhere, like, and just didn't even want to be seen in public. You imagine like a young man covered in hives. And so they came to me and they asked if I could help. And they were really asking me the right question that you hope a parent would ask. Can you help him with the anxiety that he's having about this? Because he wants, we want him to finish school. We want him to be able to continue to live regardless, of what's going on health-wise. I said, great. I said, but they don't know that I'm a medical hypnotherapist and I'm going to do what I can do. All right, right. And I never had this type of presentation before. And just like we do. So, but here's the weird thing was, it wasn't that he had allergies in the regular sense. That was what was weird. But like he would get these also welts from heat, for example. And if he was stressed, he would get them. So it wasn't just I eat tomatoes and I get welts. It wasn't that direct. But I did use a allergy protocol that I was given in my medical hypnotherapy training by somebody named Ann King. So so Patricia Scott certified me, and she gave me all this magic in a thing, like, this is what you can use. I'm like, okay. So I went and I was like, I know that's in there. And long story short is this young man, and he would show up with hives. And but by the time we worked through that, the second time we did some, I can't remember what I did the first time. The second time we did that, he came back the third time, there weren't any hives. He was done with hives. And so this is a major example of, darn, I hope this works. I mean, and so those parents who paid me what they paid me, now not having to pay thousands of dollars a month for something, like, just think about that. Like, what else could be taken care of and save them. It's billions of dollars spent on healthcare and pharmaceuticals every year. And I'm not saying that some of them aren't incredibly necessary, but a lot of them, these issues could be cleared with people like us. Am I right? Raise your hand if you agree. All right, and that's why we're here. So I've got two more wacky stories. One was a lady who had to quit smoking or her doctors wouldn't give her surgery. So she had to stop. So I was like, I'm committed. I'll help you to stop smoking. What I didn't know is that she was also on heavy pain meds because she needed the surgery. So she sits in my chair and she goes out like a light, snoring. I wake her up. And I'm committed. And so and so now she's going, and I'm doing the stop smoking protocol I do. And I'm, doing all this, and she's dropping her arms and she's snore. And I was literally yelling at her. I woke her up no fewer than 3 times and I yelled my protocol at this woman. She's a nurse. Irene sent me so many referrals because she walked out of there, never smoked again, got her surgery, like stuff like that. So I use that story all the time. People say, I'm not sure. I just had a guy today. I'm not sure if I could be hypnotized. I said, well, let me tell you about Irene. It doesn't matter. Like, or about the person who couldn't close their eyes at all and still got the results that they came for. Like they just stared at something because they were so anxious they couldn't close their eyes. Yeah, stuff like that. And then the one that I still the one that still like takes me to that place, it reminds me that not only are our clients potentially going someplace really different than we are thinking they're going. We go before them, right? So we're often going into trance, doing the work and coming out and like bringing ourselves back up. Again, am I the only one that thinks this? Yes, we go into trance. Right, okay, cool. And but this man, I think we all have, you recognize that sometimes different types of people with they're the way that they think and see the world, they walk into your office and they're a little, it's like, whoa, I hope this goes as well as, he gets the results that he's asking for, because it feels different. And so I felt like I was doing the session in one way, and I wasn't real sure if he was even anywhere that was going to get him the results that he wanted. And we were doing parts work. And then it just got really, really weird, because he told me that the part of him that was whatever the problem was, I can't even remember at this point, was a troll behind the rock. So here I'm wondering if this guy is even in trance, or if he's gonna get, somewhere. And he starts and now he's telling me about the troll behind the rock, and it's real. I had him describe it, and he's telling me about the troll, and conversation with the troll happens, and the man got his results. I would never have said, your part's a troll behind a rock, right? You just don't do stuff like that. Oh, but that kind of stuff does happen. So when people say, I tell people, hypnosis is not some weird and far out thing, and part of my brain's going, but you might
But
be
it's handy.
it can be. There could be a troll behind the rock. It could be, all kinds of things that could get you there. So those are the ones that I came up with. I've got so many more times when people have told me that there was a whole like I might have been having a conversation. They were having a conversation with me, but the real change work was happening because those two people over there were talking. I'm like, those two people over there. Yeah. Like, okay, that's all right. Whatever, however it works. So yeah. So those are the ones. Or when we sit on the park bench on the beach and
I was actually thinking about your mom,
oh
and the session that I did with her
yeah.
for anxiety.
Mhm.
And after the session, and then I'd asked her beforehand if she wanted to quit smoking too. And she's like, yeah, but maybe later. We'll do that in the next session. I said, but you're interested in that? And she said, yes, I am, but not right now. I'm going to do this. So I did the anxiety. And then right afterwards, what happened? The freaking fire truck.
Yeah. Okay, so
And this was like it was my first one.
I don't know,
I can't remember,
but my mother had PTSD from a fire.
Right.
She escaped a fire naked running from her house, bless her. Right, so she had so what happens is the fire truck right afterwards.
Well, then, so she had brought up the smoking at that point. She was, thinking, well, I'll go outside and calm myself down with the smoke. And then I forget exactly, it was something that you and I we talked with each other about the stop smoking, making the suggestion without even talking to her.
Yes.
It was a third party talk over her kind of suggestion. And I remember even saying, and this might not happen today. And the day when you wake up, you'll be like, why did I do that? Why did I? And, it was probably about 2 months ago when we went to the park. We were sitting there at the hacienda.
Yeah.
And she said that. She goes, did you guys do something? Because, I don't smoke anymore. And she said, I think that happened. I think you went to the bathroom when that was going on.
Yeah, the conversation.
But I thought that was pretty interesting because it didn't even need to be a part of the session or directed right at her. She had said earlier she wanted to. She said she didn't necessarily want to do it then, but we saw the opportunity was there to distract her, from the fire truck that was, but it really didn't even freak her out as much as
No.
I thought it was going to. I was really nervous. I was like, oh, it's going to mess up my session.
No.
Yeah.
Awesome. Wonderful. Well, cool. Let me put us back in gallery view here. So we wrap up tonight. Is there anybody else out there who's not on on camera that would like to share a story before we wrap up tonight?
We can take everybody off mute and say hey to each other.
Yeah, sure. I think I can. How do I do that for everybody without? Well,
Well,
everybody can get off mute.
Just take yourself off.
There we go. Gallery. Here we are. All hang out together. That's
Rich
better.
and Kat and Laura
We
and
had
Judy.
Montana and Daytona, Tampa-ish, Newport Richie, Australia, and Gainesville. So again, we got some Florida action in. And next time we come together, I bet you we'll have a bunch more from different places.
Yeah, so I hope that all of you will consider, joining us, next month at the beginning of the month. We don't know who our presenter is yet.
Oh,
We do.
Yeah, okay, so sorry, as I was doing the share. So we do have a call for presenters though. So for our monthly HypnoConnect, and actually the conference slide needs to be changed. We're doing an annual conference or virtual conference.
Oh, it still says in person.
It
right?
does.
Yeah.
So it's a virtual conference. So we're looking for presenters for that as well.
We're looking for more of an international reach and, we've had a lot of people express interest that wouldn't necessarily be able to make it down, to Florida for that. So
Yeah.
the online version will get more eyes and ears.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And we are looking for volunteers. So HEA
Yes,
is
volunteers.
a not-for-profit organization. And this is it's a wonderful, we want you. A wonderful way to, give your expertise by speaking or by spreading the word about what we're doing, or by actually being part of one of the committees that you see here. So if you have experience in any of these places, or if you just know that you'd love to be a part of an organization that is committed to helping hypnosis be better understood and more utilized by people, please let us know that that's what you.
For instance, we could use some help with public relations.
Yeah.
One of our initiatives is to help raise the awareness, of hypnosis and its benefits, and to reach some of the underserved areas and demographics as far as hypnosis is concerned. So if you have an interest in that, definitely would love to talk to you.
Yeah. Reach out, let us know that you've got some time to dedicate, and we'll definitely have a place that you can put your love into the mix. Thank you. All right. So is that the last slide?
I think it is.
All
I think
right.
other than the next one that says, please join.
Yeah,
the
we'll get to that.
organization.
So next month, actually, I do know what the topic was. That's why.
Okay.
And the topic is why coaches should have hypnosis in their toolbox. So we all know that the world of coaching, life coaching, fitness coaching, coaching is massive. And we probably, if you're here and you're a hypnotist, it's probably because you realize that that coaches could help their clients get results faster and easier if they had the toolbox. So we're going to come together again like this, but I'm going to bring those instructors who are part of the network on board to talk to coaches about why it is that they should have the toolbox of a hypnotist.
And we'll be doing something similar to that with the the initiative that we have with the outreach in the medical community.
Yes.
So if you know any hypno buds that are into these topics, then please share with them this organization, have them come in and get involved. And we'd love for you and for, everybody to join. Oh, join HEA.
Yeah.
What did they get?
Well,
what did they get,
actually,
Melanie?
Wild and crazy truth is, when you join HEA in May, just in May, you get the conference free. So our virtual conference happening at the end of the year is included and only through the end of May. So join HEA. You are funding our outreach, or you're funding the education that we do. And that means that you get to come to the conference at no cost to you. And yes, it will be recorded if you aren't going to be with us both days throughout the days. It'll be recorded and available to you.
And this organization is open to general public as well.
Yes.
Those who are interested in hypnosis, either, interested in maybe getting involved in it or utilizing it or just spreading the word because they're just interested in it, in the positive uses.
Yeah. And the hypnotists who are members will also get a listing in our member directory,
Which we actually started.
which is started.
Yeah.
So that helps you with SEO, it helps your business to be better found. And if you are a instructor and you've got courses that you'd like listed, communicate with us and we have opportunities for that as well.
None.
All right. So with that,
Any final words, y'all?
Hey, it was really great. We
Thanks
both
for
enjoyed meeting you and the other guests that you had tonight. It was very interesting. Thank you.
thank
Right
you
there,
for
right back
coming.
at you guys.
Awesome. Wonderful.
Laura, thank you for coming to us from Montana.
Yes,
And
thanks for
we'll have to chat about some places that Melanie and I can visit there if you know of some cool hiking situations. Because I don't know if you've caught on to that or not, but we'd love to get out into the
Great outdoors.
great outdoors.
tons of
Paige from Australia,
Adrian
Adrian,
and Julie.
and
All right,
Julie.
awesome. And Don's out there.
Oh, hey,
So,
Don.
we saw you out there, Don. Hey, thanks for coming. All right. All right, with that, we're going to wrap up tonight. Thanks, everybody, for being with us.
Thank you.
Great to meet you. All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Mhm.